Hi everyone, and welcome back to session 3 of Design Cuts Live 2020. I am so excited to welcome back our good friend and the super talented Roch from ROHH Design Foundry. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, Tom. Thank you.
It's good to see you.
To be here. Yeah.
I was saying a minute ago before we went live, I love the jacket as always, looking very stylish.
Thanks a lot.
And today we're going to be talking all about variable fonts. There's a lot of people who don't even know what a variable font is. So today should be very interesting for them.
Yeah, I hope that everyone will be really well informed about what variable fonts are about and what are benefits of using them, because it's quite new technology in the design industry, but it gives like transformative experience, in my opinion, when you start to use them. So
yeah, absolutely. I actually learned about variable fonts through your fonts, Roch, and it was kind of like mind blown when I understood how much you could do with a variable font. There's no going back. So I'm excited today. A lot of people are going to learn about them for the first time.
Yes, I'm excited too. I really, for me, it's also variable fonts are also like I knew about variable fonts from a long time, and I understood everything about them. And I worked with them a little bit as a designer, but really when I started to use them in my projects, this is the moment when you really feel the difference, because I knew the mechanisms and everything. But when I really started to use them as a designer, because I design websites or other graphics also, this is the moment when you really feel, oh, I don't want to come back. Yeah.
Well, today we're not only going to be sharing Roch's incredible new variable font mega family called Luchin, but we're going to see it in action. As you say, Roch, it's not until you use it in a project you really see how valuable it can be. And today you're going to be showing how to create a brand identity using this mega variable font family.
Yes, I'll do this.
Incredible. Well, sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, please go.
Without further ado, shall we jump in and share your screen?
So, variable fonts. Let's start from the beginning. I'd like to, in general, today I would like to tell you, present to you, what is the difference of using generally the high-end professional typeface in your work, and when the typeface is and type family is feature-rich, how much it can really help you with work, make it more effortless, and really transform it in a way that makes you have more joy and this seamless feel when working with type. So at the beginning, I'll want to introduce you to variable fonts. Generally, this is a type of technology that lets you change the qualities of the font infinitely. Just you can set the weight or other qualities of the fonts. I will show you in a minute, up to your preference and how you wish. Usually, before, with normal open type fonts, you needed to choose one from the styles predefined by designer. So you also very often had a lot of choice and big possibilities, but now you can also go in between these styles. And now I'll share my screen and I'll start to present it. Okay.
Amazing.
So, okay, let's dive into it. You have a title set with the Luchin here, and variable fonts. With normal font, when you see here we have our font toolbox, yes, you can choose different styles from here, and it works like normal font. But variable font generally allows you to adjust everything very, very fluently with the slider. And most often, when you see a variable font, most often you will have a possibility to adjust weight. Like here, you can just adjust it with a slider without any problem. You can change the weight to fit exactly what you really need in the context. Very often when we have like 8 styles, 8 weights to choose from, very often it happens that it's almost this what we want, but not exactly, you know. And here it's not a problem anymore, and it's very fluent. As you see, you can see it live. It's updating live, and you can just choose the best option for you. It's a great control, but the best will come in a few minutes, because it's a lot of work to design a good variable font, to have the interpolation look very good at every point, you know. And the more qualities you can adjust like this in font, the more complex the work starts to get. So usually we have 1 or 2 axes, because and these elements that you can adjust by sliders are called axes. Usually you have 1 or more or 2 axes in variable font, because it's starting to get really, really complex later on. But here you can adjust the weight as I show you, but you can adjust also width of the font. And this is really great, because before we had a very narrow font to specific types of titles, headlines, or logo types. And now you see, without any effort, we can adjust the width of the font also. This is our second axis in Latchin, and this is great. This, when you have a more complex typographical layouts, you really will use it a lot. You see, and everything works very fast and fluent without any problems. To be honest, when I started to design Latchin, my idea was to stop with 2 axes. But when I started to play with it, I had so much fun that I said to myself, okay, I will do something more. It's more time, it's more work, but we'll have a really good fun. So I added a third axis that lets you change the X height, so the size of lowercase letters. And you can see it on the headline here, how we can change the height of the lowercase letters. And as you can see, it changes the character of the headline a lot. It's like completely different font. And
I can see this is so useful for logo design, because if you want a bit more character, playfulness in your logo, often it's so manual to have to manipulate letters like this, but you can do it all within the font, right? That's the beautiful thing.
Yes, and this is a lot of, you know, this is great for designers, because the type designer does a lot of work for them, you know, and and then when you have a tool like this, you can use it in a a lot of situations. And you can see when I resize the headline, in one moment the place of the stems in T and F just changes because of the crossbars. Because if I let it be on the same height, it wouldn't look very good with so high X height. And there are a lot of small things like this that you really have to take care of when you design such a complex project. So this is what Latchin has to offer in terms of variable possibilities, but it doesn't end there, because Latchin has also other great features, which I present you in a few moments. But I wanted to show you just very fast what else can you do with variable fonts, because this is so responsive technology that you can do many different things. I will, okay, forgot. Here you can see, I prepared myself these graphics earlier. Here you can see I took a paragraph of text, a few paragraphs of text here, to show you how you can transform the family that at the moment it looks like a typical headline font, very narrow, and can be very powerful if you make the X height higher. But let's see what happens if you change the width of the font to the wider one. It starts to look like text font. And then if you put the X height lower to make it look more traditional, in one moment you can make this display typeface work very well in text paragraphs, like here. And you can even set a website with this typeface or different paragraphs of text. And this is the good example. Let's see, for example, let's leave it like a text typeface, but maybe we can do a headline here. We just make it, for example, much more fat, and we will make it narrow with a big X height, maybe not maximal, but a big one. And we will change the size, for example, to, let's say, 290. It works in Adobe apps, and it works in Corel apps, but this is it's a great app, very affordable one, and the variable fonts, as you can see, work just flawless here. Everything works great.
I think you're right, Roch, as well, that in the next few years, all the software are going to support variable fonts because it's the future.
It's just a future of typography, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I just show you very shortly, as I told you before, on my other designs, very shortly, what else you can do with a variable font. What can you change? For example, here, this is my serif font family that I designed not long ago. You can change its optical size, and optical size changes the contrast of strokes of the family. So you can make a very big contrast, like here, where you have very thin strokes. It's great for posters, for big display use. But I wanted this family, for example, to be usable as a text typeface. And then you can just change the proportions and make the contrast lower, because when you have very thin lines, they wouldn't be readable in small sizes. But when you make change in the contrast, you can use it as a text typeface or as a variable or as a display typeface. So this is what you can use variable fonts for. And the last thing here is my other font family, Conte. And here you can make something crazy, really, because here you can adjust the style of the letters, their internal proportions. So this is a playful typeface, obviously, but you can do this thing and to make it even more playful, and a bit of Art Deco proportions. And it changes the character very strong. Yeah? So you can do many interesting things with variable fonts. Not all are obvious, and I'm sure that designers will show us new ideas yet.
I love it. Again, I think it comes back to the control. As creatives, we get so much control. This is like having 1,000 fonts in one, because whatever need, whether it's a brand design or a logo or website text, you can find something that works for you.
Yes, yes. And for a type designer, it's like working on like hundreds of fonts. Really, it's much more work to design this type of type family, where you have big possibilities. It's much.
That was my question. Yeah, I was gonna say that how much more work, because this took you months, and the difference between this and like a very simple single weight font is night and day. They're completely different.
It's night and day, and it's not only that you need to like draw more letters and more shapes, more versions, but when you allow the user to interpolate, to interpolate everything in every proportion, you have to make sure that every one interpolation point will look good and will work fine, and you have to make sure that kerning and spacing is perfect, and that shapes are not doing some strange things, which happens. What happens, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's good fun to me. So I always liked to work like on small things,
and whenever we work with you, we love your passion for this. You always seem so excited by the details.
Yes, I love the details in fonts. That's why I started to design fonts, really, because it's very meticulous work, and this gives me a lot of satisfaction. Okay, I think we can go to our today's topic. So we can design a branding for a company that makes audio equipment. As you can see, I've prepared the graphics already because it's not a part of our presentation. But I can tell you that I just I've chosen a good photo, and then I had to make some photoshopping to get rid of old branding to prepare it for our presentation. So let's try to do a logo type for a brand named Tuned. So I would like to have this, very big, to have this written in capital letters. And now what we can do with this is, of course, we can use our variable functionality and make this, X height doesn't do anything because we have uppercase letters. Mm-hmm. So you can change the proportions, but first, I would like to dive into different features of this font, because for Ligatures, I prepared also a lot of ligatures. Ligatures are connections of letters that make a graphical impression, good graphical impression. And in Sketch, we have to go to our open type features for the font. These are our advanced features that we can use in a design software. In Sketch, we need to select View, and we need to open a Show Fonts panel. You can see this panel here, and we have a cog icon here. After pressing it, we need to choose typography. I know it's a bit hidden in Sketch, but as soon as we know it, we are ready to go. And here we have our typography panel. Here we can see what OpenType features the font offers.
Amazing. And just quickly, it's very easy to find this functionality in Photoshop and in the Adobe suite as well.
Yes. It's a daily routine of most of designers, I guess.
Yeah.
So here I know that we can use some ligatures in this logo. So we need to, in Sketch, we need to choose our text before we apply any OpenType features. And then from ligatures, we choose rare ligatures. In Photoshop, I guess it should be called discretionary ligatures.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, and after choosing it, you can see we have some letters that are merged together, but these are not the ones that I would like to merge here. And this is because I know the font, and that's the also important thing. When you work with a feature-rich font, you need to get to know what it offers. So you can open your glyphs panel or some font, like some app for managing fonts, and you can see what features the font offers. I know that I have a very interesting ligature that connect two letter ends. So I will just go back and I will just choose two ends, and then I will choose the ligature. And you can see it start to look better and better. For this particular logo, I have one more feature that we could use, and these are titling forms. There are under style options in Sketch, and you see nothing changes because I haven't chosen any letters, but now I can choose T. You can see
that's so cool.
A half T, and now I can choose D and also choose titling capital. And it immediately started to look like a really, really nice logotype. What I could do yet is, for example, add another T.
Just got a comment from Letitia that says font sorcery.
Yes, it's very fun to play with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a alternate form of this titling capital, and it will maybe look a little bit more readable like this. And now we can adjust our proportions of the font by using variable fonts, maybe a little bit narrower, and you can see what happened. This is some little bug in SketchUp. We have to be maybe understand that it's a new thing for them, so we will just, no problem, we'll just correct it and apply the ligatures once again.
I think it's okay in Photoshop and InDesign. I don't think it does this so much.
I think it should work just fine in Photoshop.
I think so, more than Sketch.
Yes, and I'll make it a little bit smaller, and we have our logo type. And I'll add one more thing, a registered trademark, as soon as we have our logo type. And usually you have to go to a glyph panel to find this particular glyph in the font. But in Lucene, as well as my other fonts, you can just type parentheses R and close the parentheses, and it's automatically changing into the registered trademark. It's because this font has so-called contextual alternates, and they are usually turned on by default in design apps. And now when it's changed, I can change the proportions, make it maybe wider and a bit smaller. Maybe, I don't know, 100, for example.
Roch, I'm smiling a lot over here. This font makes me smile. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you, how much helpful is a font like Latchin when all these things just work like you would expect them to work. Yeah. Now all we have to do is, I like the logo very much. Of course, you could work on logo more, make some adjustment to curves, add your own personality into it. But I just want to show you how much the typeface can help you with working with this, and how fast can you achieve a good result. So I'd like to apply the logotype on the headphones now. So I just copy and paste this one here. Make it, yes, like this, and make the size much smaller and apply it here. We need another color to fit to the headphones. We'll change it very fast to something dark, make it look like it's black.
It's like it's embossed or something.
Yes, something like this. I will not do it very. I will not go into details of some text effects or something like this. Of course, you can do very many things here. But here we have our brand name, and also we can apply some symbols on the sides of the headphones, like that. And so it would be like this. Just to have some cool looking elements, we can use our font to make the headphones look a little bit more cool. And we can, for the second speaker, we can use another ligature. And we're ready. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We have branding, and the branding is applied to our product. It was very effortless and very fast. This is also a important thing for designers, yes, to have the possibility to work fast. And the professional font, when it is rich in features, it allows you to just fine-tune many things in a very easy and seamless way. Okay, so we have our first example finished. I wanted to ask you, Tom, how much time do we have?
We have a little more time. Is there something else that you wanted to share?
Yes, I wanted to show, maybe I will present it much faster.
Okay.
Just we can design another logotype.
Yeah, let's do it.
Or another brand. This is from our band for this event. And this would be a lighting solution company that could, I will not explain anymore. We need to start typing the name. It will be called Helio. I also will do it in capital letters, but I will change the color because it's
Roch. Roch, are you on Instagram, by the way?
Actually, I'm not.
Okay.
Really, to be honest, I mean, it's maybe strange for a designer, but I don't use any social media.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought that was the case.
I wanted to show you how it will work when I activate rare ligatures, but they were activated after after working on pre-logo. So just after writing the name of the company, I'm ready. This font created such result that satisfies me for this particular project. I can add, because I've seen, I can add also a little tagline under the logotype, and let's write illumination systems, and let's make it much smaller, like 100, for example. And for a tagline, I don't like to have any ligatures. I will just deactivate them. So I have to. No ligatures and no tipping capitals. Yes. And now we have just a simple headline. And now we can play with proportions a little bit, just to make Helio maybe a little wider and more powerful. And here with illumination systems, we can also make our play. I prefer it to be a little bit wider and maybe not so heavy in weight, and maybe a bit smaller. It's not necessary to have it so big. Oh, that's not smaller. Okay, and now I can make the, okay. So too small a bit.
You know what is the most amazing thing for me, Roch? It's whatever you put in as the settings. So it doesn't matter what width, what X height, what size, what boldness, it all goes together and it still feels balanced, and the kerning's still perfect, and the pairs of different font weights feel perfectly balanced. How did you do that? Because it doesn't matter what settings you put in, it still looks perfect. Like, I've never seen anything like this. Yes,
I mean, that's the really the way you need to work with the type when you're designing it. It's about millions of details that makes font look right. It's very funny when you are designing a typeface and you draw all the letters and you want to check how they look like, and you write some sentences with these letters. When the spacing and kerning is not done right, it just doesn't look good. It looks like a mess. Even if you have really nice letter shapes and beautifully crafted lines, without perfect spacing, it just doesn't work at all. And this is very funny. But
yeah, I've seen it with so many fonts, Roch, where I love 80% of the weights, but maybe 20% or just the bold weights or the super bold weights, they don't look as good. Right? It's so common where not the entire font family works, only part of it looks great and some looks a bit off. With this, every single part of it looks perfect. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm happy that you like it. This is you have to keep an eye on everything and just choose wisely. Sometimes you need to cut some weights if sometimes you have another idea at the beginning, and at the end you see that something, for example, thin weights are not working so well, and sometimes it's a good idea to like cut some weights to not to have so huge family, but to have more consistent family. But also the great thing with the very big families like Luchin is that when you make a wide portions of text and then you add some narrower, it's all very consistent because the main design approach is the same and details on the letters stay the same. So even if you change the proportions, the overall typography feels very consistent and very nice. So this is very big, let's say, plus, huh? Very nice thing to have.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. I think you could use this for basically anything because it's so versatile. It's clean, but without being boring. It somehow has a lot of character, but it's still very simple and very balanced and very elegant. And so I could see this being used for, you know, body text on a website that has to be more functional and readable, or I could see it being used for a logo type with tons of character. It kind of works for everything.
Yes, and I'm happy to hear that because that was one of my main ideas when I was working on this particular font. The basic idea was to create a great headline font, but then I wanted to make it as versatile as possible, and I saw the potential in this kind of design that can work in paragraphs of text as well. I just wanted to show you because I had some small things to show you to design, but we don't have time for everything, I guess. But I wanted just to show you an example, like you told about a website, for example, an example of mobile website layout, when you can see different features of this font are used. For example, in logo, I used ligature and these titling capitals. And then a main title is a italic font, very narrow and powerful. The weight is big. And for the text, I used the normal width of the font, the widest one, and lower X height, so it makes the text look much more traditional and very clear. So you really can use different proportioned versions of the same family, but it looks extremely consistent. Everything fits to other elements because the main idea and main design cues are the same for the whole family, and it makes it
amazing,
so consistent.
It's amazing that everything we're looking at there is just based using a font and nothing else.
Yes, that was my idea, to show you just how the font looks like, how it works. And everything I showed you was really in one color palette and one character. I just wanted to show you how in different environment the font can look like. I will not describe it too much, just show you how the character also changes when you use some color, or when you get a little bit crazy with some crazy branding. And every effect is much different, or on some other products. When here is a good example of using different proportioned text, and it really stays consistent all the time.
Amazing. I think this is showing how versatile it is, and it can be as simple or as complex as you want for all different types of industries.
Yes, and if you use more colors, the font immediately starts to look more friendly, and the character changes. So, and it's also looking very, very clean and sharp, but yes.
Wow.
Like this. It can change a lot also when you use different approach to design. But I think this particular family really works very well in different environments.
It's incredible. Roch, we deal with so many fonts, and I have thousands in my personal collection. I think this is the best font family I've ever seen. This is definitely my current favorite font family in the whole world.
That's great to hear. You're very kind. Really.
I mean it. I mean it. In fact, I can see Teresa in the comments, who is my designer I work with for some of my personal content and projects. Teresa, we're going to be using this font for that brand moving forward because it's so cool. I just want to use this font everywhere.
That's great. Have fun.
Thank you for sure. I think we should probably show off the font in all its glory now. And I know you've been loading up the official page. Yes. Just drop a quick yes in the comments if you'd like to see the font in a bit more detail, because this is the work of nearly 6 months of solid work on this mega font family. Roch collaborated with Design Cuts, led by our incredible creative director, Matt, and the design team here. So it's something that collectively we're really, really proud of. So honored to work with such a talent like Roch. Let's show off the Lutschine. Okay, so Roch, if you would like to talk people through, but I do just want to point out that this font is currently available for 85% off, which is just ridiculous value. It's normally $200, and there's just so much packed in.
Oh, and I can see that it's updated, so you can see it's written here that you have also the web font files included in the set. Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I will make it a bit smaller, maybe. I like this. So here, you already seen how we played with this. We have 126 open type fonts in the set. Also 2 variable fonts, one for upright font and one for italic fonts. This font also features lowercase letters, which is not obvious for headline fonts, and it have ligatures. Oh, and 2 styles. I forgot to show you second style, but
we can see it.
Yes, great. This slide shows you how the interpolation works in variable font, what you can change using this family. And here we have some examples of it used in different environments. You can see also thin weights are very elegant and can have a lot of impact, not only bold weights. Here are presented some of the ligatures that are possible to choose from, and also here are the titling capitals. You can see the dots hidden a bit to have a nicer look. And this is our first branding application. This is another slide that helps you imagine better how much versatility you have changing the proportions of the letters. These particular examples look really different in terms of character and also legibility. Here is the slide with a half of the weights included in the set, because it shows on upright weights. So every single example from here is also available in italics. Here is an example of a movie poster, how you can use this font in different sizes, in different proportions, also in very small sizes.
I feel like it works for every application. That's what I love the most about this font. It's so versatile.
And here I show a little bit of design cues that are characteristic for this font. For example, cut corners. This is a thing that Litchin shares with my previous cooperation with Design Cuts, which was Montre Grotesque, a more Swiss design font. And Litchin really is a font that was designed to cooperate really well with Montre Grotesque. So you can check Montre also.
Yeah, they pair really beautifully.
Type family. Here's another example of more minimal usage of it. Here it's shown that it features italics and lowercase. You can see numbers here. And we have our mobile website example that you've seen before, and full alphabet in different weights.
And Roch, can I ask, what about language support? Different characters for different languages?
It has extended Latin language support, so it's basically all Latin languages are supported. Maybe not completely all, but
it's very extensive though.
It's very extensive, yes. I don't remember the number of languages, but it's written on the page. I don't want to just
it's a lot.
lie in these terms, but it's a lot. It has all these strange dots and
some louds and
over letters. Yes. Here you can see the upright and italic form of the family. Some magazine usage. Also, we can see that also small text is very legible with this font.
Yeah.
And here is the alternate style for the font. You can see that some letters change their shapes a bit. The alternative style is more similar in terms of shapes to design style of Helvetica that was designed to make a more classic approach to letter shapes.
Beautiful.
Here is another example. And that's not all. Here is the branding on a brochure.
It's so professional looking. It's stunning.
Yes, of business card. Just to show you that you can really set the very small text with this font and have successful result. It can be really legible. Yeah, and another magazine layout. So we can see that it really works even for more, let's say brave or courageous usage. When you want to make something more graphical, it's very simple, but letter shapes are really pleasing and look really good when set in big sizes.
And you can see with this final example, if it's blown up and it's enormous, it looks beautiful. When every detail is kind of under a microscope like that at the bigger sizes, it's perfect. But if you look down the bottom where it says relationships, psychology, even at that knocked back gray color, it's still so easy to read. It's so legible. So it works at every color, every size. I've never seen a font like this. Super cool.
Yes, that was the biggest, maybe the biggest goal and difficult thing to achieve, to make it work in these different contexts and different sizes.
Incredible. I have to say, I already said it, but this is my current favorite font in the world. I love this font so much. So
really
bravo.
Thank you,
It's
really
so
glad.
cool. We always love you know, hanging out with you, Roch. You're just one of our favorite type font designers in the entire world. And yeah, I'm in awe of your talent every time. I don't want to embarrass you, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm probably becoming a bit red, but okay.
No, that was so good. We can't wait to welcome you back in the future. Thank you so much for joining me today, Roch. Have an amazing day.
Thank you very much, Tom. Yes.
Okay, take care. We'll chat soon.
Yes. Bye. Okay, goodbye.